Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Always love talking to this gentleman who has done so much in giving back to others, dedicated his life to the land. And that's in many different ways. He's the owner of America First Realty since 2011. He operates a farm in Minnesota, Uganda. He's all about the land and making things better for all of us. And he's also our Diamond of the Decade. Ervin Norgren is back with us. How are you today, sir?
I'm just absolutely wonderful. You know, it's kind of funny because some people are into the weather and some people don't really care. But with me, and when it's a sunny day, it's a marvelous day. It's good for your health, and it just makes you feel good.
And we were just talking before we got on here that it was about 70 degrees here in New York. Very unusual for almost mid-November. It's about that in Maryland where you live. But in Minnesota, it's like 20 degrees right now. So it's like, what a difference. What a difference.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a real quick story. My brother and I have rental property, of course, in Minnesota because that's where we grew up. And we had a property, when we were doing our undergraduate work, we had a property right next to the college. And I bought it, with practically nothing down. And this guy, he was from the Middle East. The basement unit was empty at the time. He just moved in. And, this was Christmas time, and you hate to go ahead and throw somebody out, but we did give him adequate time and all that kind of thing. And the night we threw him out, there was 4 of us. This was many years ago, so things were different legally. And the wind chill factor, no kidding, was 100 below zero.
What? Can't imagine. Can't imagine with it 71 degrees right now.
Yeah, just incredible.
Oof. I'm wondering, you're very concerned about the land and making sure things that, are done right for our ecosystem and everything. How are you always certain that you're doing the right thing in terms of farming, not just here in the United States, in Minnesota, but also in Uganda? Are you always watching that to make sure that the procedures and everything are the safest they can be for our ecology?
Well, that is an easy answer because today it's totally different than it was years ago. We didn't have all this technology. And I have to give a lot of that credit to the farm in Uganda, that my wife, with this technology, she can check on what's going on that farm any minute. And, of course, she's, a nurse, surgical nurse, but full-time with the VA, but she still can, plan, organize, direct, control. Those management functions are easily done with technology the way it is.
Wow! So you use a lot of technology with the fish farm in Uganda.
Well, not only with the fish farm, but in our day-to-day living. It's just like my youngest daughter. I think we talked before that we both have a child that's young, 17, in high school, and by gosh, even in the schools now, I didn't even know anything about computers, of course, way back then, and now they're given a computer, and they go ahead and bring that computer home, do their homework at night, and go back and check it out during the day. So it's life has changed drastically, and for the better, I believe.
Yeah. But I will say this: social media is great. It connects us, but also it can be a challenge, especially for teenagers, especially for teenage girls, comparing themselves to pictures and friends.
Yeah.
And,
my daughter, the other thing I was going to add to how we manage, and some people don't believe this, some people, everybody's different as to their theology, but we're a very religious family. And, my pastor, way back when, he wanted me to be a pastor, and they took up a, collection, and everything was set to go, but it wasn't my thing. But we are religious. My wife is even more religious than I am, and her, upbringing, not only in Uganda, but in the Congo, which is where her mother's from. It's just, it's such a wonderful thing that you don't have to fight the battle of having a good religion. They're very religious in that African foothold that we have there.
Well, I do want to point out, and I love it, in that at your age, you are so plugged into technology. Many people aren't, and I think that part of that is because you have a teenage daughter.
Well, yeah, and this is kind of embarrassing to a certain extent. This phone number that we talk on, I've had this phone number for 50 years, haven't changed in all that time, and it works for me. However, my wife is younger than I, and my children, of course, are younger than I am. But they are really, in total, as a family, kept me straight with technology, because I just didn't grow up with it, and the Army did introduce me to it when I went to Vietnam. It was actually quite an advanced Army, and a very smart Army during that time, surprisingly. And so I learned some from the Army, but I learned much more from the younger kids and my wife. I have to give them credit.
Well, I've had the same phone number for, let's see, some life changes, but I had it since early 2000s, like 01. However, just about a month or so ago, I got rid of that. It wasn't easy, but I got rid of that phone number. And I also,
because there's a lot of changes you got to do when you change your phone number.
Well, it was my home phone number, but I also got rid of my cable, because I just stream a lot of stuff, and it was also a cost-cutting move. Like, well, I'm not using any of this, so I'm saving so much money.
Well, that's good.
My gosh, I spend on my home internet, I'm going to share with you, I have 300 meg, pretty fast for home, flat $50 a month. That's it. But that was after negotiating with the cable company and such. So I don't need my phone anymore, but I held on to it.
A lot of people are that way, you know.
Yeah.
It's just each personal decisions, I guess, are what boil down each individual's final decision on what to do with communication, because communication is so vital to not only our personal lives, but our business lives and anything we do.
And I'll be very, very transparent here. The one reason I held on to the phone number a little bit longer is because my mom passed 5 years ago, and she left voicemail messages. Just check it in, and I wanted to make sure I downloaded every single one, so I held on to that number.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got them all, so I'm good.
Well, that is, and some people are close to their mother. I was very close to my mother. And, that's a very positive part of your life.
100%. So what do you want to do next? You've done so much in your life, serving our country in the military, then on to the farms, the real estate, raising a family now, as you've done before, but, you're at it again.
Well, I think that I may have mentioned, but I'm not sure. We have, and I think I mentioned that my wife had a brother who had a son who is still living, but unfortunately the son had nothing. And I told my wife, I said, we have to help him. It just came natural. I don't know why I said that, but it just came out of my mouth. And from that day, that was probably 5 years ago that this process started. It was very slow in the beginning, and it still is, because he's still there going to Catholic schools, which are very good in Uganda. And we have to take care of everything for him, of course, because he needs to eat, he's got to be clothed, all those things that kids do. So that's really a large part of my immediate focus now in working with, immigration. Needless to say, is a long process. It's not easy, and but we've done it before, so we will do it again. But things are a little tougher right now, and that's kind of where myself, a lot of the focus has been, simply because it was a calling, and I felt that the Lord had said that we needed to do this. And we did, but it's not easy.
Love it. You've never gone into detail. We talked about the fish farm in Uganda. We never really went into detail with the farm in Minnesota. What are you doing there?
Oh, well, that's a varied situation. First of all, we have part of the farm rented out, so that we got a means of communication 24/7. All those tenants have to do is pick up the phone and call me, and we get it done. It doesn't make any difference what the task is, and I'll tell you real quickly. We have a river that goes through and cuts our farm in half, and the bridge that allows us to go to the farmhouse and from the buildings that are there to house the machinery and all that type of thing. It was when my uncle died of cancer, that bridge was dead. I mean, we couldn't even drive over it other than a car, because it was rotten. And my brother and I, and of course my brother is still alive and I'm here, we tore that bridge down. And I have a picture of it here, because it's something that at the particular time my brother had a drinking problem, and he tried all kinds of different things, but he was in rehab, and he told the people that he had finished work with that he was going home to the farm, and that we were going to build a bridge, a new one. And we did it. We worked many hours of the day. Of course, in Vietnam, I always worked long hours there because you had to. But there was a different story. We didn't have somebody shooting us or anything like that, but we had to get operational. And, not a small... I told my boss when I worked for FEMA that, I was going home, and it might be a while before I got back, and it did take about a month altogether with that and other problems that we had. But we did it. We got it done, and I'm so proud of that bridge. I was a combat engineer in the military for a while, and they told me how to make bridges and blow them up and all kinds of things like that. The day-to-day functions are helped by those tenants who I can unequivocally say they can fix anything. I mean, something's wrong, they go and they fix it. And my brother, he's aging, he's 83, but he and I, like this summer, we went out, I went out there with my wife and my daughter, and younger daughter, and we cut the weeds to comply with a government part of the farm operation. And we spent a lot of time and of course, a lot of money to do what the Conservation Reserve Program required. And, I was not able to complete that because I only had so much time. But we had a wedding at the same time when we were out there, and it was a very busy time. But we got it done. And, it's a combination of team effort. We all have to pull together to continue to keep that 400 acres the way it should be done.
Wow. I can't even imagine 400 acres and the responsibility that comes along with that. Now, you're in Maryland, and would you say that that's your home base?
Yes, I've been here for a long time.
Gotcha. And how often do you get to Minnesota?
Well, myself personally, I get there usually once a year. COVID, it was a little different for those couple of years, but sometimes twice a year. But my brother and I, every week, we talk, and our record is we talked and it's usually on the weekends. We talked 8 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
So we get things done. You can't always, and sometimes it's better not to be there, and my brother can do what he wants to do, and, we don't have to get into any spats because we look forward to communicating, with the phones.
It seems to me that when it comes to that teamwork, it's the communication. The communication is key to make sure that everything, gels together, and then you have success. Yeah,
it's not easy work sometimes, but that's the way it is. It's the same with the stock market. It's the same with anything that you invest your heart into. You got to work at it. It doesn't come. It's not an easy task. I think anything in life that you take on, first of all, you've got to know yourself. And once you know yourself, then you have to work at it. It just doesn't, it's not like, hello, I'm good at this, so, it'll just take care of itself. It's not the way it is.
I truly believe, Ervin, that you just, at least this is what I discovered in my journey, that is the secret right there, knowing yourself. I feel that many of us...
Socrates, that's what he said.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Socrates said, know thyself. I remember that because it was part of our English project many years ago. I never forgot it. It's just like my friend that in Vietnam helped boost my physical attribute. He drew a picture of a god looking up into the sky with a bold yellow background saying, think positive. I've always kept that in my mind, even when I was younger, but that kind of highlighted it.
Sure.
It's something you got to continue to work on. And my kids, they have it because I have it, but not quite to the degree that I have devoted my life to.
This is why you are such a grounded person and successful in your life, but also helping others. I believe many of us don't know ourselves. I have to admit, I thought I did, but until I started, and you said the word work, you have to do the work and to figure yourself out. But once you take that time, what a game changer it is. It's almost as if you're...
Exactly. You're so right. You hit the nail on the head.
No, you did. It's almost as if you're working with someone, yourself, okay? And you can't work with someone unless you know them. Like, for example, you have somebody on your team. Well, you know them to a fairly large degree, or at least try to, because that makes it so much better and easier. But if you don't really know yourself, you can't really get it done. You don't. It's the truth.
That is so true. You put it in very good words, because that is important in your life.
And what comes from that? Resilience and also faith in yourself and trust. You trust yourself. Now I say to myself, you got this, or basically, I got you. I know we're going to take care of each other. We're good. We're good with that. Previously, things would happen. I would get freak out, some anxiety. Oh my gosh, how am I going to fix this? Oh, now it's like, I don't worry about it. I'm good. We'll get it done.
Yeah, it's a part of the process, and once you attain that level, it makes it easier.
For sure. Always amazing talking with you. And Socrates, I never knew. Know thyself. I'm going to tell you right now, when we're done in a moment, I am going to put that in a group chat that I have with a men's group, and we share. Oh yeah,
I remember you said the men's group that you were at.
Yeah, well, that's
good.
That's going there right now. That's fantastic.
It is. That computer, and it's just like instant almost.
Yeah. And you know what? You never know how somebody's day is going, and that might inspire. But that's also why we talk about things here. Ervin, thanks for joining us once again.
Well, thank you. This actually was a surprise because I was talking to Steve, and he said, I'll talk to you tomorrow at 10:30. And I was thinking we were on today at this time. And so I said, yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm home a lot, so it doesn't make any difference to me what day it is, as long as I got a little lead time.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. You're referring to Steve, who is on our podcast company. I'm a Steve, so it gets confusing sometimes.
It does, yeah.
It's all good. All right, Ervin, be well and enjoy the warm weather there in Maryland, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.